Welcome back to Timeless Messages from the I Ching. This is Stephen. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you're doing very well. So the question for today's reading is, what are the most important messages for the viewers at the time they find this video? The most important messages for viewers at the time they find this video. And it doesn't matter if it's in 2 years, 2 months, 10 days. It's all about timeless messages and the fact that you've found this video. There's messages here to help you on your path. So, the 2 hexagrams that came through are number 52, keeping still, the mountain, and number 23, splitting apart. So, without further ado, if you'd like to close your eyes if you're able and take a few deep breaths and have some stress reduction, I'll begin the interpretation. Keeping still, mountain. Excuse me. The image of this hexagram is the mountain, the youngest son of heaven and earth. The male principle is at the top because it strives upward by nature. The male principle being the yang line at the top of each of the trigrams. So the top trigram and the bottom trigram has a solid line. Because it strives upward by nature. The female principle is below. Those are the yin lines below the yang line. Since the direction of the female principle or the female movement is downward. Thus there is rest because the movement has come to its normal end. In the application to humanity, the hexagram turns upon the problem of achieving a quiet heart. It is very difficult to bring quiet to the heart. While Buddhism strives for rest through an ebbing away of all movement in nirvana, the Book of Changes holds that rest is merely a state of polarity that always assumes as a fact that movement is its complement. I'll read that once more. The Book of Changes holds that rest is merely a state of polarity that always assumes as a fact that movement is its complement. So really, rest and movement are 2 sides of the same coin. Possibly the words of the text embody directions for the practice of yoga. And also I'd like to mention that keeping still the mountain relates to the northeast quadrant and compass feng shui, the area of inner peace, wisdom, and self-knowledge introspection. So meditation and concentration are definitely enhancers, tools, techniques to enhance the concentration, the meditation, the self-knowledge, the inward journey of keeping still the mountain. The judgment, keeping still, keeping his back still so that he no longer feels his body. He goes into his courtyard and does not see his people. No blame. True quiet means keeping still when the time has come to keep still, and going forward when the time has come to go forward. In this way, rest and movement are in agreement with the demands of the time, and thus there is light in life. This hexagram signifies the end and the beginning of all movement. The back is named because in the back are located all the nerve fibers that are responsible for movement. If the movement of these spinal nerves is brought to a standstill, the ego, with its restlessness, disappears as well. When a person has thus become calm, they may turn to the outside world. They no longer see in it the struggle and tumult of individual beings, and therefore they have that true peace of mind which is needed for understanding the great laws of the universe and for acting in harmony with them. And whoever acts from these deep levels makes no mistakes. So it's interesting that true quiet is not just indicated for keeping still and not taking action, but also for going forward when the time has come to go forward. So in embodying that true quiet that is within us, we have a better understanding of what's required, what the particular demands are of the particular situation we find ourselves in. So rest and movement then become in a great agreement. They're not fighting each other. So keeping still, actually keeping the body still, has its benefits, as this paragraph describes, and that the inner peace, the true quiet, the inner calm begins to become more of a regular experience rather than an isolated event. And because it's more of a regular experience, we're able to really understand if we need to move forward with something or if we need to just keep still and not take action. And in keeping still and going within and contacting this true quiet, this inner divine light, this strength, this stability internally, we don't see a struggle. We don't see in the external world a struggle in with the individual beings. We see a harmony. Everything has a particular harmony. We're coming from that place of harmony ourselves. Not that we can't see things that are out of balance, but we see that everything is as it should be, and things improve as they will. And it helps us to understand the great laws of the universe and to act in harmony with them. And if we're able to get in touch with this part of ourselves more regularly, then we will act from these deep levels and not make any mistakes. And moving forward, the image, mountains standing close together, the image of keeping still. Thus, the superior person does not permit their thoughts to go beyond their situation. The heart thinks constantly, and this cannot be changed, but the movements of the heart, that is, a person's thoughts, should restrict themselves to the immediate situation. All thinking that goes beyond the immediate situation only makes the heart soar. And this is one of the most profound teachings that the I Ching shares with us, is that we really should be in this particular moment that we find ourselves in. Because if we allow our thinking to go beyond this moment, it'll just make us worried or anxious or some other unpleasant experience, because the heart is always going to be thinking. We can't change that. But we should try to restrict ourselves to our immediate situation so that we're not thrown to and fro all over the place by all sorts of thoughts that are not going to help us in our immediate situation. A lot of thoughts about the future take us away into worry, anxiety, fear, and so forth. But a lot of these fears and anxieties never come to pass. So the importance of staying in the moment and in restricting ourselves to our immediate situation. The changing line, 9 in the third place, means keeping his hips still, making his sacrum stiff, dangerous, the heart suffocates. This refers to enforced quiet. The restless heart is to be subdued by forcible means, but fire, when it is smothered, changes into very unpleasant smoke that suffocates as it spreads. And therefore, in exercises of meditation, concentration, and going within, a person should not try to force results. Rather, calmness must develop naturally out of a state of inner composure. If a person tries to induce calmness by way of artificial rigidity, meditation will lead to very unwholesome results. So the I Ching is counseling us in terms of our journey within. Try not to force results. Try not to enforce things by lots of get rid of this, get rid of that kind of thing. But rather, developing inner composure is the path. And you can do that by getting centered, getting balanced. One thing you can do is imagine the center of your body, from the crown of your head through the center of your brain, through the center of your throat, the center of your torso, the center of your leg bones, down into your lower leg and down into your feet, and then down and out through the center of your feet. Pay attention to this center and breathe in and out of this center, and this will help you to attain that inner composure and balance. And rather than you trying to induce things artificially, meditation will happen and unfold naturally rather than it unfolding artificially through force. So remember, go with the flow and don't force it. Going within is a journey, and allow the journey to be a pleasant thing. And something that can help you too is to try to keep your thinking from going far into other places beyond your current situation, such as into the past or into the future. You can think of the past and the future as places that have already been and will probably come again, and the future as places that are yet to be and at some point will have already been. But the ultimate place to be is right where you find yourself, and that's where your power is. Now moving on to the second hexagram, number 23, Po, splitting apart. Above is keeping still the mountain, so the mountain is still in the top trigram. The bottom trigram changes to Kun, the receptive earth, so mountain on top of the earth. The dark lines are about to mount upward and overthrow the last firm light line by exerting a disintegrating influence upon it. So you can see at the top there's one solid yang line, masculine line at the very top, the sixth position. And this line is eventually going to be thrown out of the hexagram by the inferior dark lines. So the inferior dark forces overcome what is superior and strong, not by direct means, but by undermining it gradually and imperceptibly, so that it finally collapses. The lines of the hexagram present the image of a house, and the top line being the roof, and because the roof is being shattered, the house collapses. The hexagram belongs to the 9th month, October-November. The yin feminine power pushes up ever more powerfully and is about to replace the yang masculine power altogether. The judgment splitting apart, it does not further a person to go anywhere. Excuse me. This pictures a time when inferior people are pushing forward and are about to crowd out the few remaining strong and superior people. Under these circumstances, which are due to the time, it's not favorable for the superior person to undertake anything. The right behavior in such adverse times is to be understood from the images and their attributes, the mountain and the earth. The lower trigram stands for the earth, and those attributes of the earth are docility and devotion. Docility means you're not putting up a lot of fighting, you're easy to deal with, and so forth. The upper trigram stands for the mountain, whose attribute is stillness, keeping still, introspection, stability. This suggests that one or a person should submit to the bad time and remain quiet. This suggests that you should submit to the bad time and remain quiet. For it is a question not of humanity's doing, but of time conditions, which according to the laws of heaven show an alternation of increase and decrease, or fullness and emptiness. So the I Ching essentially is saying that it's important, if you find yourself in this type of a situation, if there is a splitting apart, could take many different forms, but if you find yourself in this particular situation, it's important to remain quiet like the mountain and just try to accept the bad time, because it's not of your doing. You've not done anything to bring this into your realm, into your domain. It's just an alternation of increase and decrease. It's according to the laws of heaven. It's not a question of your own doing. So it's impossible to counteract these conditions of the particular time that you find yourself in. And that's refreshing to know, so you don't put up an unnecessary struggle. Therefore, it's not cowardly, and it's not cowardice, but rather wisdom to submit and avoid action during this time. The image, the mountain rests on the earth, the image of splitting apart. Thus those above can ensure their position only by giving generously to those below. The mountain rests on the earth. When it is steep and narrow like a skyscraper, and it lacks a broad base, it must topple over. A mountain's position is strong only when it rises out of the earth with a broad and great foundation, not proud and steep. So likewise, those who rule rest on the broad foundation of the people. The people would be the earth below, and the mountain are the rulers above. The rulers, too, should be generous and benevolent, just like the earth that carries everyone. Then the rulers will make their position as secure as a mountain is in its tranquility. Then the rulers will make their position as secure as a mountain is in its tranquility. What a wonderful image. So the idea of the mountain, or the rulers, the superior forces that are in a position of power, need to also remember to be generous and benevolent, just like the earth that devotedly and in a beautiful fashion provides for everyone in a devotion and docility and a fullness, providing everything for everyone. So the idea of not being arrogant, having a broad foundation, realizing what you rest upon, giving thanks for what you rest upon, what helps and assists you, and also giving support and aid and help to what is supporting you. Two-way street, two sides of the same coin. Those who rest above, those who rest below, feeding one another. And in terms of good government, we can see the benefits of the mountain, or the government, the rulers, taking good care of the people, of being generous and benevolent of the people, of listening to the needs of the people and acting accordingly, and not being distant as if on a mountain, and not being able to attune to the vibration, the thoughts, the feelings, the needs of those on earth, not being too separated from the earth, but also realizing the importance of that connection, because the mountain rests upon the earth. There is no separation. They're connected. And so the importance of the rulers really taking note of this position they find themselves in, and ensuring their position by really listening and giving generously to those below. Very important, and a wonderful image as well. So in this particular situation you may find yourself in, the idea from splitting apart is that there could be inferior dark forces or persons or energies that are overcoming what is superior and strong, not by direct means, but by undermining it imperceptibly and gradually, so that the superior forces, the superior person, collapses. Now, this may or not be the case in terms of your particular situation. You may not be in a brink of collapse, but be aware of the idea that there could be inferior energies or people or situations that are coming into view, coming into your life, and to pay attention to these, because the feminine or yin power is pushing up powerfully to replace the yang power altogether. And the idea of taking time and not taking action, going within, being like the mountain, looking at the images and their attributes, the mountain and the earth. So be docile and devoted like the earth. Be generous and benevolent to those below you in order to secure your own foundation, your own position. Not just to do that, of course, but because that is the right thing to do, because the two sides of the same coin, the mountain, the rulers, and the people, the earth, and we're all a combination of all of that. So also paying attention to how your rulers are treating you. Are they being benevolent? Are they being generous? And if not, can they do so more regularly? And if you are in a place of power, if you are ruling over certain situations and things, try to reflect like the mountain. Keep still, go within, pay attention, and allow that inner wisdom, that inner light, that inner sage to come through and guide you. Am I being as benevolent or as generous as I could be? Are there ways for me to step that up a little bit in a good way that's in balance with movement and rest? So just as the first hexagram talked about the importance of meditation and keeping still and going within, this is hearkening back to that as well, talking about the idea of keeping still. Not that you have to be immobilized all the time, but try to retain that inner composure, that inner quiet, so that you can make the best decisions. And if you do find yourself now or in the very near future coming into a situation or interaction with others in which there are unpleasant or inferior energies or forces or situations, circumstances, then just realize it's not of your own doing. You just have to get through the time, because this is just a part of the universal laws expressing themselves through fullness and emptiness, increase and decrease. The time will pass soon enough. And if you can stay in that centered, balanced state, you'll get through just fine. And the idea of avoiding action when it's necessary to avoid action, paying attention to when it's important to act, but not taking too much action, because this is not the best time. In the time of splitting apart, this is not the best time to take lots and lots of actions, because the energies would tend to not be in harmony with assisting your actions to manifest in the most fruitful ways. So a success in small things. Enjoy your success in the small things that you can accomplish, and be happy with that. And a good image for your meditation could be you imagining that you are a mountain, and the foundation that you have as the mountain is vast, covering miles and miles and miles of space. And you rise up based on that broad foundation. And because you see in your meditation that the mountain is connected to the earth, you remember to be generous and benevolent to the earth, to those that are helping you, that are supporting you, that are your foundation. And just like a circle, just like a cycle, this comes back to you, and you share this, and it comes back, and you share it over and over again in an endless cycle. So I hope this message helps you. That's what I have for now. May you be tranquil and at peace. Take care.